On this episode of the Palm Beach Current, I'm joined by local mortgage and real estate veteran Jim Sahnger to discuss the ever-changing mortgage industry and what you need to know as you navigate the real estate world here in Palm Beach County. Well, it is my pleasure to be joined today by Jim Sahnger, who is someone that I've known for a while in the mortgage business. Trusted guy, always knows what's going on, certainly a local in every sense of the word. Jim, welcome to the show.
Thank you much, Chris. I appreciate it.
So, to get started, tell the audience a little bit about your background and I guess how you got into the mortgage business here in the Palm Beach County area.
About in 1992, I was running jewelry stores. And one Christmas Eve, I actually counted out over $70,000 in cash and said, this has got to stop. I just can't keep doing this. So I asked somebody that was a regional manager at a bank who makes mortgage or who makes money in your bank. He goes, people selling mortgages. I'm like, really? He's like, yeah. So I immediately set out to land a job with the savings and loan and did so back in 1993. Um, it's been it's been a great ride for me here. It really has. When in 1993, I was doing 20 loans a month at an average of $70,000. And now I think we're probably somewhere up around 600,000 or 700,000. So
Right. Yeah, no, it's certainly a different time. Well, you could offer some perspective. I mean, with that, how would you describe where we're sitting now in 2026? What is your take on where we are headed mortgage rate wise? I think that's where the good majority of the audience would be what they would be interested in, only because there are a lot of people sitting on the sidelines right now wondering when should I jump back in, right? I mean, real estate here is such a hot button topic. What is your take on that?
when we look at interest rates, if we go back to the end of December, we were sitting just over 7%, right? And at some point during last year, we got as high as 7.5%. We're currently sitting around 6.4%, and we got as low as about 6.1. I think when we get the Iran conflict behind us, we're going to have an opportunity for interest rates to come lower. We should see them back in the fives.
Right. Yeah, that's where you see it going, is somewhere in the fives.
Yes.
Okay.
And for the benefit of every 1% drop in interest rate, it gives a 10% increase in buying power.
That's a good way to look at it. And I know, in the area here, it's probably one of the top 10 things I hear all the time is, it's gotten so much more expensive. I really want to move, but even if I'm going to pay a bunch of money, I don't want to carry that big interest rate because the interest rate I have now is 2.5%, 3%, 3.5% from people that bought years back when rates were
Right.
so good. How
Four
are
years
you?
ago.
What's the discussion you're having with those people? I mean, I know you have a lot of clients and they're probably bugging you all the time whether they should, are they going to be able to refi if they just bought recently, or hey Jim, I've got a house now that has this great rate. We need a bigger house, but I don't want to leave. What's your advice to them?
Well, for so many people that bought that have interest rates that are below 4%, right? Property values have still continued to rise since they bought that house. So they have more equity than what they had. So while there's going to be an adjustment in payment, it's not going to be nearly as significant as they might think it would be otherwise.
Right. What
And,
price
and
range?
you know, and people buy because of life situations, right? You get pregnant, you have kids that leave the house, you fall down the stairs as you don't like the situation, and you have to make decisions on what you're going to do based on what's right in your life as opposed to what's right just for the house that you're in. And
Right.
and it also depends upon where you want to move. If you're wanting to move out of the area, well, you might find a house that's less expensive, or even in the area. We went from a situation where we bought a house that was $350,000 less than what we sold ours, and so and the interest rate was higher, but it worked out great for us.
Right. Yeah, I guess it is all how you look at it and how you want to navigate that. What price ranges are you seeing the most activity in right now in terms of the business you're doing in the area?
It's I always look at it from the aspect of what are the selling price points, right, and where are the listings, and right now between a million up, it accounts for roughly 29% of the market. For 500,000 to a million, it counts for 52%, and then you have the remaining for under 500.
Right. Yeah, and it's amazing to see the prices, how they continue to climb, despite any of the world events that are going on, anything micro or macro political effects. I mean, it just doesn't seem to stop. I mean, if you have a nice home and it's positioned in a certain area, the market value seems to stay for sure.
And I think we're going to continue to see that. We continue to have more companies relocate to South Florida, and you have a lot of billionaires that are getting out of California. They're bringing their businesses with them. Yamaha, which has been in California for the last 50 years, just announced that they're going to relocate to South Florida, and you know, it's those high cost areas that are providing a lot of incentive for people to move here.
Right. No, it's a good point. What's the biggest mistake you see, Jim, with home buyers when they start their mortgage process? What is the number one thing you see that you wish you could have had that conversation with them before they started looking at all?
Probably the biggest thing is make sure you understand where your actual credit score is, and where you're at in terms of where you're going to qualify. Because there's a lot of different things that you can do. If you're starting 6 months in advance, and I take a look at somebody's credit, I say, look, why don't we do this to this to this, and put yourself in the best position for that. And the other thing is, having a realistic understanding of what you truly qualify for. A lot of people go out shopping and they get under contract and they haven't gone through a pre-approval process, and all of a sudden something blows up at that point. Um, but if I talk to somebody 6 months in advance of when they really want to go, we can put them on a great path.
Right. So that's a good point. And that was one thing I was going to ask. Everybody has a different take in this. When do you start to talk to a lender? People fear that their credit's going to get run and the credit score. And then if they're not quite ready and they're just looking around, then they're going to have multiple hard pulls on their credit, and that affects their decision. So in your mind, with the ideal client, you're going to start 6 months in advance, make a game plan for what they're ideally looking for, do a pre-approval. Are you pulling a hard credit at that point, or are you not?
I can do soft pulls,
Yeah.
and there's also other services that are out there that people can use that actually give them the real credit score. The one that we're going to look at, the scores that people are going to see in a lot of the credit card statements are not going to be accurate unless because they're using a different model. There's a lot of different models out there depending on who's looking at it, and I'm going to put you in the path to get the right one.
Okay. Another question that I think comes up a lot too is, certainly in this industry, we have realtors everywhere, and there's also lenders all over the place, right? We get spammed with emails, there's commercials on TV. There's an endless choice, right, that you can have. There's
It really is.
real estate people know, realtors anyway. There's lenders, there's your bank, right? There's so many different ways. What should people look for when, if they're going to use you? What do you think sets you apart from the rest in terms of things that you're going to do? You've been doing this for a long time.
33 years. And the biggest responsibility that I have is to take what could possibly be complex and make it simple, right? So depending upon the loan product, not everybody's going to want that 30-year fixed conventional rate mortgage at 6.5. They may have a lot of assets, but they might not have as much income. They may be retired. So it's really incumbent upon me to take the right path to make sure that you're going to get the right product that fits for you, because it's going to be your single largest investment in your life for the most part.
Right. Are there mortgage programs, Jim? I feel like, everybody understands, at least that has bought a house before or is getting ready to buy a house and getting educated. They understand conventional loans. They understand VA loans. If they served in the military, they might know about FHA. But beyond that, especially here in this area, what mortgage programs are available to people that they might not know about?
You have asset depletion loans. You've got no ratio loans. You've got bank statement loans. For a lot of people that are self-employed, which a lot of people in our area are, and so it's once again it's taking a look at what product works best. If somebody's buying a rental property and they don't want to disclose their income, you could do what's known as a DSCR loan, debt service coverage ratio, where you look at what the proposed rent amount is going to be, and if it covers the mortgage payment, you can work it that way as well. There's
Interesting.
also HELOCs for investment properties. There's a number of different things that are out there. And then for people that are coming down that are wanting to pay cash, in particular if they're older, you might want to look at a reverse mortgage if you don't want to deeply all your assets.
Right. You mentioned a minute ago this being the biggest investment most people will ever make. I'm interested, a lot of I talk to a lot of younger people in their 20s especially, and they're frustrated because they watched their parents buy a house, or maybe they didn't watch them buy a house, but they knew that their parents had a house and their
Right.
grandparents had a house. And now we live in a world where the numbers, especially in this area, are so inflated. It has just surpassed what most people just getting started can afford, right? So a lot of people are looking at the American dream per se a little bit differently. It used to be buy a house, have a couple of kids, get married, invest, grow your wealth, retire, and go on from there. Now, younger people are looking at it a little bit differently. I can't afford a house, so I'll rent, I'll invest differently. There's a different mindset there. Talk to me, and I guess talk to the audience that might be younger here. What's your advice to them, the people that are, say, 25, 26, have a good job, they have the income, but they don't have maybe the savings for a down payment? And really, the affordability is so much different for what they would actually want. What would you say to them?
A lot of it is just reevaluating the type of house or property that you want to live in the beginning. I'm not saying you want to go down and live in a rough part of the neighborhood, but in some situations, you might be better off with a townhouse or a small condo. But buy something that you can start building appreciation in, because we know that those that do own real estate are typically more have a greater net worth than those that don't.
Right. So the
And
thought would the thought would be there, maybe buy an investment property with the intention of it, hey, it's not going to be my forever home. It's not even going to be my starter home. But maybe you go out, you buy a duplex, or you buy
exactly.
something that's maybe run down, like a condo that needs work. You get in there, you do the work as you can. It appreciates a little bit. You build up some equity, and then either keep it and rent it, or go ahead and sell it and do something different.
As I look back on my years, I wish I would have kept every property I ever bought and, rented
Yeah.
it. Because
Isn't that the truth?
it's
Yeah, no, it makes sense because I do have a bit of a soft spot for the people coming up because it is a different market, right? I mean, I can't imagine how frustrating it must be, to have a good job or own a good business that generates money, and then you look at it and it becomes so incredibly hard to qualify for different things in the price range that you want because,
right.
I mean, look at some of the homes around here. I'll speak for my house. I mean, it's worth $700,000 more than it was even 10 years ago, right? I mean, that's great if you lived here the whole time. Not so great if you're trying to buy something for the first time.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, and it also on top of that, I mean, and you mentioned it, people are flocking here unlike any other part of the country. It's certainly in the top 5 areas of the country in terms of migration and where people want to be. And it's hard not, you can completely understand why. I mean, it's good to do
Oh yeah.
business here. It's desirable. There's a million things to do. You're outside year round. Our rough part of the year is what, July, August, September, which in most cases it's the best part of the year, and so it makes it easy to go somewhere else during that time. So, yeah, I mean, we are definitely dealt with some circumstances that are different than most. In terms,
Even with all the growth, right? Um, we bought out west in Avenir, and we've got some traffic issues that people are contending with at this point. But all in all, it's still. I've never lived anywhere better, and I've lived in a lot of places. And I can tell you that every winter, whenever you get another snowmageddon, and people start coming down, and they're just like, "I can't take it anymore. I can't take it anymore." And I'm like, "Well, you're moving to paradise. This is really where it's at." And what I love about our area, northern Palm Beach County, is that we have everything that everything else that South Florida has to offer, without everything else that some parts of South Florida have to offer. The traffic in Broward, the traffic in Dade, just a number of different things. And this is truly the best area in the world to live.
yeah, no, it is a great place. You mentioned Avenir. I didn't anticipate going this way, but since you do live out there, it is something that comes up a lot. I mean, certainly people that are listening to this mainly are in Palm Beach County. I hear great things about people that live in Avenir, but that traffic snarl on North Lake can be a problem. Speak to that a little bit. I mean, what is your take on that? Is it getting better? Is it getting worse? And just the overall sense of living in Avenir. How has that been for you?
We've loved it. We absolutely have. It's obviously I'm in a different position than some people in that I get to work from the house. Lori, my wife, she does work downtown, and there are times when it can take 45 minutes, and it's only 14 miles away. But they are continuing to work on road construction. I went out west of us, and the roads are starting to look beautiful there. And I think they probably got it set up where within the next year, year and a half, we're going to see significant improvement. And you can also time when you leave. If you're accustomed to leaving at 7:30, and that's going to be the primary time where things are going to be busy, well, try leaving at 7:10. There's a lot of personal decisions. Now, if there's an accident, that can present a problem. But overall, you know, we've just really enjoyed it out here. Now they're going to have the new shops. Publix is set to open. The original Publix that was built taken out of a tornado 2 years ago, and that set a lot of the retail shops back. But they're starting to open up now.
Right. In addition to Avenir, Jim, you've been around these neighborhoods for a long time. I know you're not a realtor, but you certainly are hand in hand with the realtors all the time with the mortgage component. What are like two or three other neighborhoods that you really like in the county that you think people should look at if certainly they were living here locally and maybe hadn't heard of them or they were coming in from out of town?
Well, people are drawn to Abaco, obviously, Alton, just because you've got so much there and you're still close to the beach. Um, I think those are probably the two. That Rialto in Jupiter is another area, particularly if you have kids. Evergreen, if you have kids, and they've got a phenomenal clubhouse over there that is very appealing to a number of people.
Yeah, excellent. Yeah, no, those are all really popular. There's a lot of communities within communities there, so that it's a. I mean, overall, you can never go wrong in any of these places. Uh,
Absolutely.
one more real estate question for you. What are some strategies that you use with buyers that can help them make their offers more competitive? We're kind of in a softer market right now, but still, you get a nice property on the market, you could still get a very competitive situation because of where we are here. Walk me through what that looks like to you when you're working to help structure a deal with a client.
Well, when I'm talking with people first, it's like, let's make sure we get an absolute pre-approval for the area that you want to buy from a price point perspective. So what that means is, I'm actually going to get all your information. I'm going to get your asset information. I'm going to get your credit information. I'm going to get your income. And, from that, we can determine, all right, so this is what you make. This is what you can afford. And then with every offer that I have submitted, not only do I submit a pre-approval letter with that, but, I'll also break down a letter, let them know where the people are coming from, kind of what a realtor would do as well, and make sure the buyer is set up in the best possible position in front of the seller to have their offers.
Okay, understood. Yeah, no, that it helps a lot. I know there's a lot of anxiety out there right now in the market in terms of is it a good time to buy? Is it my time? And so I think having somebody like you on their side, it certainly helps them feel a lot more confident in what they're doing and understanding the market and where they go from here.
Also,
Jim,
one other thing I'd say that I mentioned is that when I had the letter out there, I actually called the listing agent and let them know that I've been doing this for 33 years. I've never had somebody go under contract that hasn't been able to complete the purchase, and we just established that from the very beginning.
right. No, and it's great to all be aligned in a team for sure as these deals go. This is a lot of people's favorite part of this, but we start to ask some questions about the area. And so I ask everybody that comes on, usually the same two questions, and then maybe I throw a third one out there too. But Jim, you've been here for a long time. I know you're in Jupiter, now you're out in Avenir. What's your favorite restaurant for you and Laurie to go to on a Friday night?
Oh gosh, it used to always be Rancho Chico up in Tequesta, and now we found a place down on North Lake called Paradise Tavern, which is looks like a hole in the wall, but it's run by a five-star chef, and the food is absolutely amazing.
Really? And Paradise Tavern. I have not been to Paradise Tavern.
It's
What's the go-to thing at Paradise Tavern that's really good?
Oh gosh, they had beef short ribs that were phenomenal. They've got tuna tartare on a rice cracker that is phenomenal, and then they have something that is kind of hard to believe, but they have shrimp corn dogs that are they're just out of this world, man. They really are.
Well, that's good to know. All right, so that's definitely a hidden gem there. How about that small business service provider that you is your go-to? You always go to them. You want to give them a shout out and make sure other people know that they are there as well. Anywhere in Palm Beach County.
As far as like another restaurant is Dog. You
Well,
got to
yeah,
go to.
the restaurant thing is big with you, Jim. Yes, Dune Dog. Dog is a good one, but anything else? This could be a doctor, a lawyer, a chiropractor, a
Uh,
landscaper, anything that you think really jumps off the page for you that somebody
if
that you
you
would.
have at the age that I'm now getting in my 60s, right? Orthopedic Institute would be Paley, the Paley Institute. They did my neck surgery. They're going to do my hip. They have some of the best doctors in the world. Uh, from a family law perspective, Eddie Stevens is phenomenal. Um, from a primary care physician, I work with Dr. Alexandra Lockcliffe, and she's great. And those are some of the best.
Well, it's good. The medical community continues to grow around here. The new
Oh, it does.
hospital that they're going to develop looks amazing. Jim, tell people how they can connect with you if they want to talk to you about a mortgage or what else they can order at local restaurants here. It seems like we could do a restaurant segment with you.
We should do this with the restaurant blog, right? Uh, the best way to reach me is my phone, which is 561-373-4622. That's my personal phone. My email address is jim@jimsanger.com. And those are the two best ways to reach out.
Okay, and just spell your last name, just so because people are listening to this mainly. I just want to make sure they can find it.
It's S as in Sam, AH, N as in Nancy, GER.
All right, perfect. Well, Jim, always a pleasure to talk to you. Loved having you on the show, and
Thank
don't be
you,
a
Chris.
stranger.
Look for you soon.
All right, thanks so much.
Thank you. Bye.